Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you had a great week and I hope your weekend is really going well. Here on this channel we talk about everything to do with the African diaspora, politics, music, life, love and everything in between. So if you're interested in those topics, please like, share and subscribe and yeah, join the family. Guess what, right? So recently somebody came up to me and they were like, your two husbands are fighting, what are you going to do? So I'm thinking, what? So then I realized what they were talking about very quickly, right? Basically, they were talking about what's happened recently between Dr. Umar and Kevin Samuels. So basically, I watch both of these guys. I find them highly entertaining and quite informative, right? On different levels. They're so different. They're like polar opposites. So they were saying to me, oh, they're fighting. Who are you going to pick? Who are you going to choose? Basically, I'm going to choose the winner, but let's get into it. So, Dr. Umar, right, for those who don't know, he's, the self-proclaimed king of Pan-Africanism. So anything to do with, the upliftment of African people anywhere in the world, Dr. Umar's on it. He's a certified school psychologist. He's very prolific. He's a writer. He's an author. And, he's really an advocate for black families and children. And, yeah, so anything, to do with, empowering people, empowering African people, Dr. Umar's there. So he recently did an interview on the Breakfast Club and it was actually a really interesting interview. If you haven't seen it, I recommend that you watch it. I would say Dr. Umar is one of our great intellects and often, we don't think about these things until the people are gone. So I think he's someone that we should, really pay attention to and really respect in terms of what the talent that he has. You don't have to agree with everything that he says basically, but he does make a lot of sense a lot of times, right? Kevin Samuels now on the other end now, so this is like a polar opposite, right? So you've got Dr. Umar to the left, now you've got Kevin Samuels to the right. Kevin Samuels is an image consultant. He came out of the Black Manosphere, so basically, a space for men, for black men predominantly, to really level up and, if they want to become high value men, to kind of listen to his advice, his teachings, and he also can be quite critical about women in general, black women in particular, right? So he's known for, the video that came out, the Instagram piece where he said to a woman like, you're average at best. And everyone was kind of in uproar about it. Like, who is this man to tell a woman that she's average? Anyway, let's put it this way, right? Both of these guys do have a point. So, Dr. Umar is really about looking at the cultural development of a people. He really recognizes the impact that slavery and colonialism have had on a people. He talks a lot about the abuse that African Americans are going through right there in America, but all over the world. So he really advocates, for the unity of the black family. Kevin Samuels' focus is on high value men, right? So that's what I think about earning 100,000, something like, yeah, 6 figures, right? But you need to be earning these 6 figures for over a sustained period of time. I think it's about 5 years. You also have to have a network of other high value men, all of that kind of stuff, right? No one's arguing about that. So what happens is that on his show in particular, so women will call in and they'll say that they want a high value man. So he would say what the criteria is, and he would ask their age, and that is significant because if you're over a certain age, as far as Kevin's kind of concerned, you're finished, right? You don't qualify. He then goes on to ask them their height and their weight. Weight is a massive one. So if, the woman is overweight, you get a slap, a virtual slap from Kevin Samuels. And, you kind of renegade it to the bin, right, of no use. If you have children, that's another issue. One thing I would take issue with is Kevin Samuels, at one point, he was kind of, suggesting that women with children should give their children to the fathers and start all over again. The reason why, I would take issue with that is, one, you don't know why the woman left the man. And if she left him because, he was a violent pig, then why would she want to subject her own children to that it really doesn't make any sense. So I mean, that's by the by. That's just one of the things that, you know, he's said. He's said many things. So basically what happened was, I think a woman had called into his show, and she was sort of saying something along the lines of, you know, why don't you speak to us like Dr. Umar? So the clip that kind of went viral was, you know, Kevin was sort of saying, you know what, Dr. Umar, the man that's been building the school for over 10 years, a big papa, this, that, and he was kind of taking the mick a little bit about the Prince of PanAfricanism, you know, really taking a mickey out of Dr. Umar. Dr. Umar then came out and started talking about beta males on YouTube. Beta males, right? On YouTube. Basically, he's talking about the black manosphere, and what he said, you know, in his defense, and I kind of have to agree with him. He was saying that a lot of Kevin Samuels' criteria is very superficial, and I do have to agree with that. So, you know, Kevin Samuels has knocked women who are educated. You know, he's got this thing about PhD women. And, you know, I've heard him talk to a woman and he's saying men don't care about your education. And again, I'm kind of going to take a little bit of umbrage around that. And even if they don't, they should. And the reason they should is because the woman is the child's first educator. So if you have a woman that is uneducated, how well are your children going to do? Especially if you're high value. If you're a high value man, why would you choose a woman that has absolutely no education? I mean, there's nothing to say that a woman that is uneducated isn't a great woman. But I'm saying, even if you choose an uneducated woman as a man, you know, I would advise, from my humble, you know, point of view, right, do your best to get her educated and support her in that journey. When you are educated, it kind of awards you the opportunity to make better decisions, and at least, you know, you can help your child a little bit with one or two things, you know, like homework, for example. But I guess if you're a high value man, you know, you can buy all that in, right? But it just makes it seem so, to me, Kevin Samuels is very, very, very funny, right? And at the end of the day, the women that are phoning in know what he does. And if you're going to phone in for a man to rank you, be prepared for the result, right? Be prepared for that. If you need a man to rank you, then you may need to do some work yourself so that you're not seeking that validation. And that's what Dr. Umar was kind of saying. Like, you know, he's really kind of disappointed with the sisters who, you know, constantly need this male validation. And ultimately, you need to get right with yourself first. And really, the male validation, you shouldn't need it, right? If you get it, great. If you don't get it, great. You understand? You kind of have to arrive at that point. Having said all that, the person said, okay, who are you going to pick? Me. And I originally said, listen, I'm going to pick the winner. But ultimately, I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to stick with Dr. Umar. And it's not because he says the right things, because he doesn't always. He does call out women when they're acting up and going on with their bullshit. He does do that. But Dr. Umar, all 6'5" of him, I mean, Kevin's about 6'2" or whatever. It's not a height thing, right? But seeing as Kevin likes to rank people, let's rank them, right? Dr. Umar is taller than Kevin Samuels, for starters. He's got more weight on him as well. Like, he's physically a bit bigger. So if you're going by that thing, so Kevin is quite slim. Kevin Samuels is maybe about as slim as me, right? Maybe a bit underweight for a man. I don't know. I mean, I like him, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to say that a high value man is more important than a man with cultural values and a genuine love for his people. And that's what I think Dr. Umar has and will always have over Kevin Samuels. Kevin and Dr. Umar, if they went to battle, there's no way Kevin Samuels would win, and he knows it, right? Recently, he did an interview, not even an interview. He did a show about Bill Gates exercising his options as a high value man. I'm sorry, Bill Gates may be the richest man, you know, one of the richest men in the world, but, you know, to call him a high value man, to me, is highly questionable. That's when you really have to check what your values are. If you're going to refer to Bill Gates as a high value man and a man that, you know, any woman would want to marry, I can honestly say that I would never want to marry Bill Gates. Not for all the money in the world, Could I lie down with that? And the reason, there's just so many reasons, right? But the reason Kevin was saying high value men exercise their options is because he apparently had this unusual arrangement with his ex-girlfriend, and his wife, you know, condoned it. Well, if I were ever married to Bill Gates, I probably would too, because if that meant I didn't have to do anything with him, all good. Bring on all those ex-girlfriends, right? Because at the end of the day, in the divorce, somebody's getting half. It don't really matter. But again, let's really review if Bill Gates is a high value man or just a very rich man. But you tell me what you think. If there was a battle between Kevin Samuels and Dr. Umar, who are you going to pick? That'll tell me a lot about you. Okay, peace.